Good morning. Today we will talk about a little bit about the villains of the Darth Bane trilogy. Um, I think that's a nice topic. Darth Bane trilogy. We start with the first book. I think overall the Darth Bane trilogy has some interesting ideas of the bad guys, especially because we following the view of a Sith Lord in the trilogy. So it's not the classic hero story, or we following a Jedi. So that's generally much more interesting. But overall, I think you could have made it definitely better. I think there's a lot more potential you could have used. But yeah, let's talk about the first book, where we got Darth Bane, and I think the main villains you could definitely say in book one are or is the Brotherhood of Darkness. Yeah, we got also the Army of Light under General Hoth, but I would definitely say that the Brotherhood of Darkness is the main villain in book one, and yeah, before we start to talk about it, what I have to say is overall, with the Bane trilogy from Drew Karpyshyn, we have a very fast-paced, dynamic storyline, which is extremely nice also for beginners to read, or overall it's just a nice run. You know, you could easily read it without feeling a little bit bored sometimes, especially if you are not reading, prefer reading. I would recommend it definitely everyone because, like I said, it's so easy to read, so fast paced and dynamic. Clearly, the downside of that is that you lose sometimes or often maybe some character deepness and development. What definitely happened also in the Darth Bane trilogy. But like I said, therefore you have a very fast pace and dynamic storyline. One problem I have overall with the Darth Bane trilogy, or let me say it with other words, if we're looking at the character development, I would say that there is only really one character who has a nice development and a very deep development, you know, and that is Darth Bane himself. We got a lot of characters, but I'm the opinion that the other characters don't get that much deepness and development like a Bane. And that is sad, especially in the later parts, because you want to show us even the other characters, especially Xener, but she's losing the deepness because it was not built up before. And so the only one who really is interesting anymore is Bane. But like I said, we talk later about it again. I think the Brotherhood of Darkness is interesting because in the beginning we have Bane, who is around about, he should be 25, I think, in book one at the beginning, when he's still a mine worker. And what we definitely see is that Bane is very skilled what it comes when it comes to the force and dueling skill set overall. So we have not the problem of, for example, the sequels, that it's just too easy how a character gets power ups. For example, Ray or Ray. That's not happening here because it's the first difference is just that Bane receives a fucking huge training on Cariban, on the academy, and so it makes sense, especially when he's extremely skilled in force and usement, what he definitely is, because in book one he already becomes so much more powerful than the others, the Sith Lords and Sith Masters, so he could best everyone in 101 combat. The leaderships of the Brotherhood are Lord Khan, then we got Kopach on and Cordis. And I think you could have done so much more with these characters. Clear, it's difficult to give all three this deep development through one book, and I didn't think that's what we should expect. And that's also okay, you know, but I think then pick one of them and bring a little bit more about them, because Khan, we we're not getting so much character from him. Yeah, I mean everyone has a good foundation. That is a good thing. So we have not the problem like again in like in the sequels, where there are just no characterizations. You know, so that is not the problem here. So everyone has a good foundation. So you know how the characters are feeling or what their character is around about in foundation. So that is good, you know. And if you want, you could do so much more to the character. And you know, it's okay that that's not happening because it's difficult to give everyone a big dynamic development. But actually, I think you could have done with one or two a little bit more. I mean, Cordy's at the beginning very interesting. At the end, he just wanted to join Bane, and then he was absolutely bested by him. Kopech was the one who actually brought Bane to the Order, to the Brotherhood. And so you could have done more with their relationship a little bit, you know, because he was also one who believed in at the beginning on him. And yeah, Khan himself, I mean, at the end of the day, he becomes a little bit more, yeah, through the book, his mantle is breaking, you know, his mantle, his mentality is breaking, you know. Bane is breaking him on the psychological way. That is interesting to follow, but we never got to see real development through that, or big fights from them, what they're doing, you know. What is interesting, Bane, or it comes to the situation that Bane finds out that the Brotherhood is weak on what they're doing, and highly inspired by the philosophies of Darth Revan. He wants to destroy the Brotherhood of Darkness, and yeah, overall it's interesting. It would be even more exciting if we got to know a little bit more on if we would learn even more about these characters of the Brotherhood, you know, because like I said, the foundation is good, but you could have done more. Who is interesting again, but who is interesting even more is Kazim, you know, the Swordmaster. And this is very interesting because I would say if we look at the Brotherhood, the best villain in this book is Kazim, because especially their relationship between Bane and Kazim is very interesting, because when everyone let go of Bane or didn't take him serious still. Kazim was the one who built him up again, you know, who believed in him, you know, who pushed him, who trained him in lightsaber skills. And that was very interesting because they had a better bond than the others, you know. And even Salia, that at the end of the day, when Bane betrayed the Brotherhood, Kazim had to kill him, and he was doing it, you know, because he's a Sith Lord at the end of the day, and so he knows what to do. There is no friendship if someone is betraying you, and it was sad. But what was also interesting here is that Bane would lose actually in dueling through Jakai, which was the wild card or the Joker of Kazim, but yeah, Bane was too strong a force, so he could kill him then. To the Jedi, Lord Hoth's army, like I said, you know, even here we got a foundation from Hoth. He's more that radical, heroic warrior, Jedi warrior. But that's it, you know, we don't get much more story about him. Farfaller is also in this book a little bit short, I would say, when it comes to character. Farfaller is a little bit more... I mean, also here we got a great foundation. We know how he's thinking about, how his style is, you know, that's nice. And especially in book 2, he got more screen time, so that's fine. And like I said, I think, the Jedi Order is also the villain group, if we see it from Bane's perspective. But like I said, I would call the Brotherhood as the main villains, and I think a little bit wasted potential, but still interesting because it's something we never got before, you know, to see fighting against Sith Lords from a perspective of the Sith. Clearly, the Plagueis novelization is doing the same, a little bit more or less, you know. But that was already the rule of 2, so it was something new here. And And then we got a problem with book 2, Rule of Two, where we got Xander. I mean, she was introduced in book 1 already, but I would say Xander or Rain. I prefer Rain actually. Her, what was Rain, her childhood name or her fake name, or Xander? I think Rain was her childhood name, or but I'm not sure at that at the moment. But I prefer Rain actually. I think Xander sounds a little bit too real. You know what I mean? Like in the real world, Hanner, so Xander. But I prefer Rain. Darth Rain would, I think it's making a little bit more impact. But it doesn't matter. So what they wanted to do is to introduce us Rain. And I think that's not really, that wasn't really a success. Because overall, Xena, is also here a lot of wasted potential. I think you could have done a lot more with her. But through book 2, that should have been her book. But they don't really make it clear that she has a good character development. We don't get really much impression of what she really thinks, why she's making her decisions, why she's not making decisions, especially in book 3 again, when we got another 10 years time skip. It's just difficult to follow her character up, because she's a little bit more, in book 3, she's a little bit more patient, she's become wiser, but we don't know if she's really that interesting in following the Rule of Two, like Bane, he doesn't know it, and so it's a little bit more this mind games, this trust problems, and that is an interesting point of view, but you don't know exactly why it comes to this, because I mean, Rain is in book 3 in her 30s, I think, yeah, and in book 2, the way we got also a 10 years time skip, I think she was, she was around 20 then. And, because she has not that much screen time or very, very good development screen time in book 2, I think it's difficult to follow them why she is like she is in book 3. You know what I mean? Where she's in her 30s and become wiser, but what actually happened in those years, why she's now like she is, That's a good question. What is really her motives, her morality, That are questions that are very interesting, but you don't get some answers about that. What is a problem, in my opinion, because she's a main character, or should be one. And that is also a problem I have, because especially in book 3, the best scene in book 3 is the beginning prologue of Bane, where he has this inner dialogues, this struggle about how he relates to Xena, where he mistrusts her, also analyzing his own faults, through because the dark side was corrupting his body, and then also talking about or analyzing, thinking about the lightsaber forms. I also liked it very much. So that is interesting. And by the way, I think Bane, because he has the dark side is corrupting your body. That is overall a true state, yeah. But I especially think that in Bane's situation, the real reason why the dark side was corrupting his body in book 3, because he was around about 40. I don't think that it was really because the dark side was corrupting him at this point. I think it was really because of the obelisks he was taking over 10 years. Yeah, over 10 years, yeah. I just think that costs a lot of his body and of his force, and that's the reason why he's corrupted by the dark side, or his body is damaged, and he has got some physical problems. Yeah. But in book 2, actually, the antagonists are, at the end of the day, Johun and the Jedi Order, you could say, yeah. it's interesting. Yeah, it's a nice fellow, or you can follow the story of Juhun. It's interesting. It's not that classic story that the hero now is winning. The opposite is the case, you know, and we learn. We got to learn Fafala a little bit more. That is interesting, but it's nothing special, I would say. If we're talking here about the villains in book 2, you know what I mean. So, and especially at the end of the day, when the Jedi are getting slaughtered on Tython afterwards, when there comes a new Jedi strike team, and yeah, they believe that when they killed the sorcerer, that they thought that was the last Sith Lord who survived. I don't know if that is really believable, that they think that this guy was the last sorcerer, the last Sith Lord. You know what I mean? That he was able to kill the others on Tython. I don't know, man. That is just a little bit easy writing at this point, and you have to look at this with closed eyes. You know, I was not very glad with that ending, I have to say. So, yeah. And in book 3, the main villain is Rain herself, I would say, definitely. And like I said, here we got the problem again. I already talked about it, that we don't have that much relation to Rain, even if she's a main character, and that is sad, you know. Her search for an own apprentice with Set Hearth is interesting, yeah, like I said, but the bond between us and these characters is not that strong. The bond between us and Bane is definitely the strongest, so we wanted to win. We want to see Bane winning at the end of the day. I'm honest to us, to you guys. I wanted to see Bane winning, but that's not happening, sadly. And here's also the problem. I mean, what is good that is that in the final battle between Bane and Rain, Bane is winning the combat, the dueling skill, which makes definitely sense because Rain was never that strong in that. The way she's winning is her sorcering, you know, and that is a missing point again, you know, because what makes Xana interesting, or what gives her a difference to Bane. She has very nice sorcering skills. Yeah, she's a strong Sith sorcerer, and that would be a part you should have shown more. Especially, in my opinion, in book 2, you should have shown us how she's training her sorcering skills. I mean, she mentioned that Bane has not that skill in sorcering, which is okay, you know, but show us how she's training these sorcering skills. Show us a little bit how it works, you know. That would be interesting, so you could give her more character deepness and development, you know what I mean? But that didn't happen. She just has this skill set, and that's helping her in the end battle on Tython, book 2. And it's helping her also in the final battle because, she's slaughtering an arm of Bane, or her shadows she's creating are taking an arm of Bane, and that was like I said, we don't know exactly how it works. It's just a nice skill, you know. It's tremendous, but or a crazy ability she has, but we don't know, we cannot relate to that, how she learned that. Is it difficult to learn it? What does it cost, you know? So, but actually, I mean, Bane could have won this fight, I think. Yeah, the sorcering was overpowering him a little bit, but actually in the combat he was stronger, and I think his problem also was that he wanted then to transfer his mind into her body. And yeah, it is this a little bit open-ended, and where you can think about that Bane survived, but actually I don't think so. Yeah, and that would be the way you should have go with Rain. But yeah, what is also nice in book 1 is the Academy arc on Korriban, where you have the rivalry between Bane and Zirak. It's just nice to see these training sessions on Korriban, especially in lightsaber combat, also training duels, which are going sometimes too far, and overall to see characters growing up, become more powerful, and also these internal conflicts in your own groups or on your class. I mean, we already know these academy years stuff from, for example, other animes or something else. and it's already a nice, it's already nice storylines, I think. So overall, I think it's you have some interesting villains or interesting groups in this book trilogy, but you could have done so much more. And yeah, but overall, I would recommend it to everyone. And yeah,